So, welcome back, students. In our last discussion, we did talk about one of the measurement of development, which is referred to as the physical quality of life index, and it is an index which was developed by um, Morris David. And under this index, here certain indices, certain dimensions, certain how to put in. Yes, certain indicators are being taken into consideration. Certain points or certain aspects of a person are being taken into consideration. Here, Morris take into consideration if we really wanted to measure the rate of development of the of a country, we need to look at the human factor. That is the human factor. And if we talk about this human factor, so many things did involve in it. And under this particular index, that is under the physical quality of life index, he do take into consideration the life expectancy rate, which is the lifespan of a person. He do take the infant mortality rate. He also do take the basic literacy rate in order to measure the rate of development of a country based on this particular index. So, further, we will talk about another which is referred to as the Human Development Index. This Human Development Index, it is an index which was developed by the United Nations, and under this particular indices also certain areas are being taken into consideration. Yes, like David, uh, the the life expectancy or living a long life or longevity, that is LEI, that also is being taken into consideration. Okay, like what we discuss about this particular point while we talk about the physical quality of life index, if we really wanted to know the lifespan of a person, is we also need to know about whether he is uh, a healthy person or a weak person. Okay, obviously, what we can easily conclude it is if a person do have a long lifespan, that means he do really live long. Say, for example, 90 years of age, or even some 100 plus years of age. Okay, the only conclusion that we can draw about such person is that he is a very healthy person. Okay, and if I say he is a very healthy person, that means that very person has been he's he can afford for so many different things that are needed in order to maintain a healthy body. Okay, so here under the Human Development Index also, this important area, that means the life expectancy rate, that means the lifespan of the person is also being taken into consideration. Another thing, like the earlier case, here if you look over there, it is being knowledgeable or the educational attainment, that is something to do with the literacy rate. Okay, and another important thing, yes, looking at the developed nations of the world, they are the countries who do grow faster. They are the countries who flourish well, looking from the so many areas, looking from the so many angles. And one important thing, if you look at such countries, the developed countries, the developed nations, most often they are countries which are inhabited by learned individual or learned persons. That means most of the people residing in those countries, they are educated. Okay, so here the Human Development Index also take this area, that means the literacy rate of a country is another important factor that do really measure the rate of development of a country or an economy. Furthermore, another important area is the standard of living or the real per capita GDP. The real per capita GDP. Here, if we ask ourselves what is this per capita income, that means we're talking about the earnings of a particular individual, how much each and every individual obtain as an earnings for his services that he offered. Okay, the thing is, if you look and if you compare our country with the rest of the world, India is still considered once upon a time as a very backward economy in terms of the real per capita income. Why? Is if you look at the earnings of an individual compared with an individual from other different developed countries, okay, the per capita income of an Indian is very, very low. It is very, very less. Okay, so that itself, if I say whatever I get as my income is very less, definitely the conclusion that I can draw here is that nobody can expect that I can have a high living standard. My living standard will also be affected. So the real per capita do really play a very important part in determining or in measuring the rate of development of a country. That means in certain countries whose population, okay, whose population like do receive a good per capita income, do indicate that that very country did grow and prosper, do indicate that that particular country do really have a high living standards. Okay, so here the human development index, which was developed by the UN here, it did it did take into consideration these three important areas in order to measure the rate of development of a country. One is the life expectancy rate as being put forth by the physical quality of life index, or like what has been stated here, living a long life or longevity. Another is being knowledgeable, that is the literacy rate. And the third is the living standard or the real per capita GDP. Further, another index that has been taken into consideration to measure the rate of development is the Gender Related Development Index. And if we talk about this index, it is something to do with the inequality between men and women. Okay? The thing is, if we talk about the inequalities between men and women, it is again based on certain areas. Here, the long and the healthy life, the knowledge, the decent standard of living. Okay, or in other words, in simple, the inequalities between men and women in the society or in the country. Yes, students, if we look at our society, hardly we can see there is any differences between a boy and a girl or between a man and a woman. But in certain societies, okay, in our country, India, we can see that there is this differences that do exist between men and women. It seems as if women are not being given uh, equal opportunities that are being enjoyed by men. Okay, I think like yes, the government of India do really wanted to do away with this inequality based on the gender basis. That means the differences between a boy and a girl or men and women. Still, even then, we can still see this this inequality or this differences between a man and a woman. Here in those certain societies, the woman most oftenly or a girl has been considered something or somebody which is lesser in importance compared to a boy or to a man. And because he is considered, so to say, inferior, okay, and as such, be it if you look from whatever angles that is available to her, The food that she eat also is not that good, it's not that healthy, so to say. Okay, her accessible to knowledge or education, okay, also that is not good. Okay, she was not given the chances to grow and prosper in terms of knowledge and education. And finally, yes, when we talk about the living standards, most often men are being considered far more superior than women. So what has been stated here, so long as there is such a differences between a man and a woman in a society or in a country, such a society, such an or a country can grow and prosper. Okay, yes, we can see nowadays, yes, women do has started come forward, be it in terms of uh, if you look from many areas, okay, in politics, in so many, okay. And so it did shows that in our country, yes, the gap that do exist earlier, or the inequality that this that did exist earlier between a boy and a girl or man and woman, it has become narrower and narrower. So this gender related development index, yes, it is an index which measure or which shows the rate of inequalities between men and women in the society based on their talking about a healthy life, or based on the level of education, or based on the living standards. So these are the different measurements that are being suggested in order to measure the rate of development which relates to the human factor or the human resources that do really help to build a country or an economy.